Hi, YouTube. Looks like you guys are on. And welcome, Facebook. Looks like we are live here as well. So it's Thursday evening. It is November the 12th, and promised that I would connect with the community this evening to provide some updates on the change in status at our junior high school and high school to that red status. So really appreciate everyone's incredible flexibility today in really pivoting very, very quickly and moving to that red zone. Want to kind of unpack a little bit more about what the red zone is all about, and then certainly answer any questions that you might have for me about this plan and where we're headed in the future. Okay, so I figured that I would just start off this evening by talking about the transition to that red zone. We have been tracking the percentage of students who are presenting with symptoms of COVID-19. We've talked about that in many Facebook Live, YouTube Live events before. And our symptoms at the junior high school and the high school, have not hit that mark yet of needing to make a transition to another zone. But a really important factor that today we actually had a really nice opportunity to meet with our health department to better understand, for all of us to be on the same page. And there's a second factor that has become increasingly an area of concern for health departments across the state and across the nation. And that's really looking at not necessarily percentage, but the number of students and staff who are moved over to that quarantine list. So it's an important distinction. We've been looking at the percentage of students with symptoms for COVID-19. And there is also then an indicator to look at the number of students and staff that are actually on that quarantine list. So that is going to be a new factor for us. We're going to put together a sort of a re-entry plan for moving back from red into another zone. And so we're going to begin to track both of those data points with intentionality, and ultimately that will inform movement from one level to the next. So while our percentage of students with symptoms of COVID-19 is still quite low at the junior high and high school, we do have a large number of students and staff who are on the quarantine list, and particularly at the high school. So that was a factor in the need for these two schools to move over to red. The K-6 buildings aren't presenting with any indications of either of those data points. So at K-6, we have a very low percentage of students presenting with symptoms of COVID-19. And we also have a very low number of students who are on quarantine because of being identified as a close contact of someone with the virus. So for whatever reason, and again, I think when we get a couple of years down the road on the other side of this virus, I think we'll better understand why transmission is happening more at the secondary level than it is at the elementary and intermediate level. We just don't necessarily know the exact reasons for why it seems to be more contagious maybe at the secondary age level and adult than it is with our younger students. But for now, the data really do inform that our pre-K through 6 students remain on green. And today really proved the fact that our bus drivers just did a fantastic job of making sure that our students still got to school who were in those grade levels. And really, we're just checked in with all 4 of our elementary and intermediate principals, and they all had just a wonderful day of school today. So that was really great news to hear. And I'm also really encouraged and really pleased to hear that I'm so thankful that our educators at our junior high and high school were prepared today, even with a very short amount of time to prepare, with an electronic learning day today. And we will continue to do that as we navigate through this red zone. So one of the other factors that I think is going to be important for us as we think about a reentry plan to another color for junior high and high school is also then monitoring the color of the county in the Indiana State Health Department map. So we had been in blue and made a quick jump this week. We were worried about that. This Wednesday, the county ended up transitioning from blue to orange. And so that meant that we actually skipped the level of yellow, which was a component in another sort of warning sign of concern for continued spread of the virus across the county. So that factor as well is a piece of decision making as we move forward. It might be that if Brown County were to move to the highest level, which is red. Our health department told us today that, it could be that the state health department would have further guidance for us as an organization. But for now, we're going to work our plan as it is indicated and really try to use the time between now and Thanksgiving to kind of have a reset for our junior high and high school. And during this period of time when we're fully remote, really be thoughtful about what a reentry into school might look like on the other side of Thanksgiving. And we'll do that in partnership with our health department, right? So we will hopefully have a plan for you. We intend to meet with the health department mid next week, so Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, so that we can then hopefully really have a reentry plan for you all, by mid to end of next week, if not right before we move off to Thanksgiving break. So about 2 weeks here for junior high and high school to be living in the red zone. A little less than 2 weeks, I guess, when we think about actual school days. But and we are going to be thoughtful and working with our health department about what it might look like for us after this reset to be able to then try to reenter on another color on the other side of Thanksgiving. That's not promised, right? There could be other factors that come into play, but that's what we are focused on, really being thoughtful about reentry post Thanksgiving. So here's where, and I just have to classify this for a second because I got myself in trouble last time. I need to ask for your help. And I cannot require you. I think that I tried to require you over fall break to keep your students and your children in close contact with you, and to be thoughtful about large group gatherings and things like that. What I am asking of our junior high and high school parents right now is to be thoughtful about what the next 2 weeks look like. It is going to be 2 weeks where we're all going to really be needing to think about what we are doing over the holidays, right? So the idea of having students not in school is that you are preventing the spread of the virus while at school. We would like to have students in school ultimately because we feel like we can control for mask wearing, for social distancing, for hand washing and hand sanitizing. And ultimately, if we can get to that space, we want to be back there. But in order to get there, in order to get a number of people off of the close contact list, a number for our staff to be able to get healthy and back on the ability to be able to report to work, and for folks to kind of work through those 2-week quarantines, then we can reset and after Thanksgiving be able to hopefully re-engage thoughtfully so that we can navigate what is presenting as a rough time in the period, the evolution of this virus. I think there's no question. If you look across the state, if you look at other school districts that are in our region across the state, I was actually on a call with some superintendents this morning from our southern region. So really even more small rural schools and a couple of our larger schools in the region. And everyone is dealing with the very same situation that we're in tonight. So it is not an anomaly. We were so blessed for so long to really be navigating through this well. And we are just in a situation right now across the state where numbers are up, and the numbers that we're seeing in the schools are evidencing the numbers that we're seeing in the state. So all of that is to say that the junior high school and high school will remain on red at least through Thanksgiving. We are very much being thoughtful that we will be able to have some sort of reentry for junior high and high post Thanksgiving. Our pre-K through sixth grade students are going to remain in session on green. Their factors are just not presenting as cause for us for concern right now. Percentage of symptoms, number of students who are on quarantine for close contact, number of staff who are out. So for now, we really do feel like green is just without question the right situation for our pre-K through sixth grade buildings. So that's the state of affairs for now. And we will go through the next couple of weeks. And that's what I kind of want to transition into my remarks about, well, then, okay, so what will these next 2 weeks look like for the junior high school and the high school? So we can kind of just separate out pre-K through sixth right now, because you guys are going to just keep doing what you've always been doing. There is no change for pre-K through sixth as of 5:41 p.m. on November the 12th. But we really do intend that is going to continue to be the same. And if there are any changes in those data points, we'll communicate that to you all if we have any concern that we might be thoughtful about needing to make that recommendation. So for our junior high and high school, just really want to talk about some questions that we've been getting today. And I do want to thank our health department. They met with us this afternoon, and we have left them even with some questions that they are actually reaching out to their medical officer, Dr. Ostreich. Once we get the feedback, and we've been given great assurance that there will even be some answers to some of these questions this evening, because there is a time-sensitive correlation to some of them. The first one being C4. So some of your students are enrolled in the C4 program. C4, for those who might not know, is our career education program where some of our students go over to Bartholomew County to have their CTE courses. The C4 is actually, so you might know that Bartholomew Consolidated Schools, they are actually on red right now. So they are not reporting to school in person, except for their C4 program. So C4 is still allowed to report the vocational program. And our students are still allowed to report under their plan. We are getting approval from our health department to make sure that our students are allowed to go over to Bartholomew County for C4. So as of this moment, we don't have that confirmation. What we do have is support. So it sounded like that is something that would be well received, but we're getting confirmation on that. As soon as we know, the high school is going to issue a Parent Square notification to all of our C4 students so that you know whether or not you need to go to C4 tomorrow. And I talked with the director of C4 just maybe about 45 minutes ago, and they're ready to have us tomorrow if we're able to, and if not, then they're ready to have us on Monday if we're able to. So we're working out those nuances. An important piece to this whole puzzle for our C4 students is that you will not be negatively impacted by these 2 days if it ends up that we don't have you in C4. And we will also figure it out if we're not allowed to be in C4 moving forward in person. So it's not your fault, right? We will figure this out. We will figure this out. And Dr. Hack is on this, and he's the director over there. Just even though we don't have the answer for you in this moment, we believe that we're going to have an answer for you this evening. And if we don't, we'll figure it out tomorrow. And no one is going to have negative implication because of it. It was so sweet. I had a student that reached out to me directly who was just so worried about missing C4. And that just says to me that there is so much value in the programming that is happening over there. And I just really loved that she reached out to me to say that she wanted to go to C4. And I get it. Internet. So I know that many families at the junior high and high school do not have access to the internet. So we did ask for the ability to open up a space in both the junior high and high school for students to be able to come. And we're going to try to schedule out some flexible time to access the internet in a very low student enrollment and high socially distanced space. So we don't have approval for that yet. That's something that we're working on. If we can get approval for that, it will be highly controlled. We will work it out at the high school and the junior high school for when a student could come and work under the internet for, an hour or two block of time. We do have to coordinate your own transportation with that. So there's some details and bugs to work out, but we wanted to at least have some sort of additional option for internet access because we know that that's really hard. Also thinking about a way that we could potentially even open up on Saturday and Sunday to have some time with our students to be able to catch up on some of these assignments. So just know that we were mobilizing today to try to figure out that angle. We needed to just see if we could get approval for it from the health department. And then if we do get that approval, we will go ahead and pull together a schedule and we'll get that out to you all. Food service. So students, junior high and high school students who are not getting meals right now, our food service department worked today to get together a plan where there will be distribution of meals on Mondays at all of our outlying buildings and at the high school. And they're going to give you 5 days worth of meals in one pickup. So all of this information is going to get sent home tomorrow so that you have the ability to kind of think about that information over the weekend. We would like to get a sense for how many meals are going to be needed or picked up. So in that distribution, we're going to have a survey. If you can respond, if you're picking up meals, please do, because it's going to help us kind of get a sense for how many we need to prepare. We don't want to waste any food, but we get it that there's a lot going on right now, so we're going to just do our very best to be prepared to make sure that there are meals for you to pick up. You can pick up at the outlying elementaries or at the high school, and we're going to do those distributions on Mondays after school. So more to come on that, some details being worked out, but we'll get that information out to you tomorrow. So assignments. So thank you. Our teachers have been using Canvas, that platform, to post assignments. I also know that there have been instructions that have been going back and forth by email. There's been instructions that have been going back and forth between teachers. This is a lot, right? In one day to be able to navigate, but keep breathing and keep communicating. Just like what we experienced in March, April, and May, we're gonna make sure that you know what assignments need to be completed, and we're gonna work through that with you. It's very, very different from March, April, and May, though, because the amount of work is going to be the same as what we would be experiencing if we were in person. So in March, April, May, we had a reduced load. Now that we're in session, we're working on, particularly at the high school, accruing high school credit. We are going to replicate a school day because these days are counted just like a traditional school day. So we're really trying to get content issued out just like it would be for a traditional school day. I know that that's hard to sort through, but our teachers are doing a wonderful job of putting content out there to continue instruction while also making sure that students are continuing to be engaged. So just know that assignments are posted in Canvas, or if a teacher is using another platform, which most are not, but look out for student emails. Make sure that you're using your email account to make sure that you have, if there are any assignments that are waiting for you there. So remember, this is junior high, high school only, pre-K through 6, you're still coming to school like usual. Wanted to say though, for our pre-K through 6 grade students, one of the unintended consequences this morning that, quite frankly, I hadn't thought through, but was apparently very much a reality, and it makes perfect sense. We had less students on our bus routes this morning. So there were less, right? We didn't have our junior high and high school students on all of our bus routes. So with that happening, some of our bus routes were running a little bit faster, right? Because the bus didn't need to stop at as many locations. So just be aware of that. It's a situation. I know that many of our drivers were communicating with families to make sure that we were more prepared for today. It is just one of those things that we hadn't thought through. So apologize for any hiccups that might have happened this morning or even this afternoon if students were dropped off a little bit earlier than maybe they normally are. So just keep that one in mind for these 2 weeks, remembering hopefully we're going to be able to transition back to a different color after Thanksgiving. Last, under the umbrella of extracurricular activities, athletics, other extracurriculars, because we're in red for the junior high and high school, that does mean that we have to pause our extracurriculars and all of our athletics until the red zone is over. Right now, we are really hoping that when we can be on the other side of Thanksgiving, so Monday is November the 30th, that we would be able to re-enter for our athletic programming with something different so that we can actually start our athletic programming up and running then as of November the 30th. And we're going to work really hard with our health department to make sure that that is something that we can realize, and we can get our kids and our extracurricular programs back up and moving. So just a 2-week intermission right here, and we'll be able to get back up and running. So really appreciate that. I'm going over my notes just to make sure that I haven't missed a thing. Okay, I think I have everything on my list. I'm going to go ahead and I am going to look at your questions. Okay, and actually, I really appreciate our health department. They have some answers for us with even just some of the pieces that we didn't know before this meeting. If you have materials that are at school, we will use kind of the same sort of a model as we used in March, April, and May, and you will be able to schedule some time at the junior high and high school to come and get any materials that are at the school that might be in your locker. So your Chromebook, other devices, other stuff that might be in your locker, your principals will issue out information about when will be a good time to come and get that content, and you can get your stuff. An important piece to this: you have to not be quarantined. So if you're on the quarantine list, you can't come into school. But if you hadn't been put over into the quarantine list, then you can come to school and you can get your materials. If you're quarantined, you'll need to wait until you're off of the quarantine. And if you need a reminder of what that date is, we have all of that information. Just give a call to the school and we'll figure that out. But if you are non-quarantined, you can come and get your information. And it looks like if you're an asymptomatic student and you're not quarantined, we will be able to set up that internet experience in our schools. So that's a wonderful thing. We're going to follow very strict guidelines, and we're going to have you register for times. So like I talked about a little bit earlier, that has been approved. So we'll get that knocked out tomorrow so that we can get some folks in to use the internet as soon as possible under strict guidelines, and no one who is symptomatic and no one who is on our quarantine list. Okay, and C4, so this is great news as well. Our C4 students can participate in C4 if they are not on the quarantine list and if they are not symptomatic. So C4 students can participate. We will have our C4 bus running in order to get students over to Bartholomew County tomorrow. So that is an important development, and we would just need C4 students to report to the high school to be able to be at the bus at the normal time that they would leave the high school, and you'll be going off over to C4. So I will still make sure that the high school sends out a notification about that, but that is great news about C4. So many thanks to our partners at the health department for that. And okay, yeah, all the other pieces we've talked about, so this is great. So some nice updates there. I'm glad that I checked that coming in, and thank you so much to the health department for making sure that we had those answers for you this evening. So now I'm going to scroll through, and I'm going to answer your questions. And so I do always apologize that there's a little bit of a pause when I do this, because there are notifications that indicate when folks are joining. So sometimes there's just a lot to scroll through. Feels like the Wheel of Fortune. Okay, so there is a statement that saw on the news that Marion County schools are going to go to remote learning as of Monday. I had not seen that for Marion County. I did talk to some neighboring superintendents today, and I was actually surprised that more had already transitioned than I just didn't realize that as many were already there. Going to keep scrolling. Nice to see so many folks joining. Thank you so much. Okay. Oh, waiting on internet installation from Mainstream. Okay, so this must be one of the families that uh, had won, if you will, in the lottery, the Mainstream connection. So yep, I'll follow up to see where we are with that. And for now, it does sound like we're going to have some options with internet in our schools, but we'll just have to build that schedule, and hopefully that'll be a help for you. So I'm getting a comment about bus drivers not wearing masks. If you see that, please do call our Director of Transportation. His name is Scott Waddell. He is great. If you ever see anything that is of concern on the roads, give Mr. Waddell a call. And we are really working to make sure that everyone in our organization, bus driver, superintendent, teacher, you name it, that we're all following the rules. So if there is ever anything that you witness that is not safe or, not following the rules for COVID, just give us a heads up. Okay. Oh, I have a question here. I have an honest question. How many COVID cases are in the high school? I heard 70. Is that correct? No, that is not correct. I do not have my spreadsheet here. It is not 70. And I guess, and I would need to qualify that question. So since we've started school until now, or active cases now? And I'm sorry, I don't have that answer, but I can tell you this, it's nothing near to 70. Oh, thank you. Mr. Phelps has already answered that internet question. Thank you. So the question is, what does a remote day look like? Log into Canvas for attendance or class, needing to be on computer all day or just initially. Can you explain how it will go and what it will look like? Of course. And I wish I just can't give you a common answer for every teacher. And junior high and high school might look different. So the important piece to all of this is that there is engagement daily in every class. So logging in, you might have a class where the teacher is asking for you to log in at the time that the class period typically is held. You might not have that in another class. And I recognize that that can be confusing, but really it depends on what subject is being presented, and also the methodology that a teacher chooses to deploy. So it could be that you have something that we call synchronous, where a teacher is asking you to log in at the same time and be engaged in some sort of content. It could be something that we call asynchronous, where a teacher posts content to Canvas, and then it might be more of a flipped sort of a classroom experience where you watch a recording and then you engage some other way. But the important foundation of it all is that you log in for every class every day. And then that counts for your attendance, and then also that assignments are completed, right? So I imagine as we get into a groove over the next day or two, students will fall into a habit of understanding the expectation for their teacher. I also believe that there will be more information coming out from our building leadership that will just sort of give you more information on what to expect for a school day. With last night being, kind of later into the evening that we made the shift, today was kind of a, It was almost like an e-learning day, right? Like it was like an inclement weather event where we kind of very quickly had to adjust. I imagine that you'll see that teachers will fall into a pattern, and then students will be able to fall into a groove. And I just got a text message from our corporation nurse. We have 9 cases at the high school. Oh, yeah, no, I see here. It says, I asked the nurse last week if there were any concerns, and I was assured no. And 4 days later, we're shut down and in the red. I feel I didn't get honest information. Yeah, I can assure you 100% that you received 100% honest information. And I understand that it feels strange, doesn't it? So, Monday, I mean, just a few days ago, right? So, that would have been the 9th. I'm doing my weekly update with you all, and honestly, looking at our symptom spread, the percentage of students who are presenting with symptoms, I think that I said even something to the effect of like we're good, I think it was something like that. We really were feeling good about our data even as of Monday, and really I think it is just evidencing of what has happened over the last week or two, and that has been that we have seen an increase in cases. We've seen an increase in cases in the state, and we've seen an increase in cases in our community. And our corporation nurse, who has been monitoring our data so closely, really has evidence that the county increases have mirrored with the student or staff increases as well. So it's not as if the school is like seeing this extraordinary number of cases. Not at all, in fact. In fact, we have, the incredible data that informs that much of this is happening outside and we're not seeing spread here at school. But we do have to do that contact tracing piece. And that has been the most impactful. Depending on the case of a positive student or staff member and how many others are indicated as close contacts, so that's within 6 feet for more than 15 minutes, for 15 minutes or more over the course of a day, it's amazing. One positive case can elicit 30 to 40 close contacts. So in a school our size, when you have one case and then 30 to 40 close contacts, very soon you get to a very large number of students who are on that quarantine list. And so we've been so fortunate since school started that the number of our positive cases has just been very low. And then the number of close contacts has also been low. But once we're now in this pattern where we're having a positive case, in a sequence, and not really getting a break of a week or two in between like we were realizing before, then those close contact numbers just really, they get high really fast. And that's what happened here. And also then you saw the county color rate change, right? And that aligns with what we were experiencing here. So we're here. So deeply from my heart, I think all of us here are extremely our word is like our heart, and having your trust is extraordinarily important to us. So it is with deep and profound conviction that I tell you that you were told the truth, and that this is a changing and evolving situation that, like I've said before, we monitor daily. And as these conditions change, then we are going to be very thoughtful about transitions from one level to the next. Just reading about an experience of a family. So the question says, why is it taking so long to notify families of contact? Nowadays in COVID life, if someone is out of school for 2 or 3 days, shouldn't a notice go home saying there's a student who has been out with symptoms, give parents more of a choice? So anytime that we have a notification of a positive case, the close contacts are named that very same day. So um, There shouldn't be a wait time at all. The only thing that has happened is that we've had cases where a student or a staff member might not develop symptoms until, might develop symptoms, I guess I should say, and then you close contact 48 hours prior to the symptoms developing. So tracking that down, you need to make sure that you're looking at those 2 days. But in every case, once we've been notified, those close contacts are contacted the very same day. This says most schools are in hybrid except for Brown County. Um, okay, more information is coming. Would coming back 3 days after Thanksgiving wise? Question mark. I think the question is that a wise decision? That is absolutely everything that we are taking into consideration right now, trying to take these 2 weeks to then reevaluate our data and then make an informed decision for post-Thanksgiving. So the question is about travel over Thanksgiving break. It said you're asking the kids to not travel over Thanksgiving break. What about the teachers? If they travel out of state, are they going to be required to quarantine before returning to school? We do not have any kind of indication for requiring a quarantine for students or staff at this time. Interestingly, the governor did mention in his remarks yesterday that he was going to comment on travel next week. I don't know what that means, but I did kind of perk up to that. I listened to that closely. If there are further guidance points from health department or from the governor's office, we will certainly pay attention to that next week. But at this time, that could be a factor in our response, our sort of reentry plan. But at this time, we haven't built that reentry plan. We're working on that next week with our health department. So this question is, I think if you're going to close one, you need to close them all. What about the family that have family K6, K6 that have family in K6, but have family in the junior high and high school? Sure. I think that that's a super fair comment. And the important conclusion here is the conclusion that is really the foundation of this, our ability to even be back in school on August the 5th. And that is this. First, every day, no matter if you're kindergarten, if you're third grade, if you're ninth grade, or if you're 12th grade, you monitor yourself for symptoms. And in monitoring for symptoms, so parents monitoring the little ones, you notice if one of the 6 symptoms is present, you keep your student home, right? And that allows for the spread, the contagion, because apparently when you're symptomatic, that is when you're contagious, and 48 hours prior. So that's the piece for us. So being able to be open for pre-K through 6th grade right now is actually an indication that the Indiana State Health Department has provided in their color-coded plan, even through red. So again, I don't know the science behind why the younger students don't have as much transmission, but it is indicating the very same. So for now, the indications from our state health department for even orange and red counties is that the elementary and intermediate age students are permitted, or permitted, I think is the word, it's or recommended to be in school. Again, I just don't know the science behind that, but that is the guidance that we're receiving at this time. The question is about Eagle Manufacturing. We actually talked about that today. So for these 2 weeks, Eagle Manufacturing will be remote. If we have to have any more of an extended program, we're going to be thoughtful about ways in which we might be able to replicate a program for Eagle Manufacturing. maybe even biomedical science, like what C4 is doing right now. So we want to learn from our partners at BCSC and see if that isn't a model that we might be able to replicate for those courses that require those hands-on, actual in the lab model, sort of deployment of instruction. So it's very much on our minds. I don't have an answer for you this evening about Eagle Manufacturing, except for they are going to be remote for the 2 weeks of being on red. And then we will reevaluate and see if we can't figure something out like what C4 is doing over at BCSC. Okay, it looks like we have some scheduling of Zoom meetings at the same time at the high school. Thanks for that feedback. I'm sure that Mr. Stark is on this call, so I'm sure he's going to take that feedback and we will sort that out. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, because that won't work. Hospitals are full, numbers are high. Yeah, we're really trying to stay on top of this information with the Indiana State Health Department, and truly, yep, there are concerns out there. So these are all factors in this whole experience that we find ourselves in. So I'm seeing feedback that a parent would like to have time on a Saturday or Sunday. So we'll try to work that out for some internet time scheduling over the weekend. Thank you for that. I'm happy to come in on the weekends to help with that. Okay, I do see that Mr. Stark already answered that question. When will we be going back to school? So remember, pre-K through 6 are in school all day, every day right now. The junior high and high school are on red through Thanksgiving, and we're working on a reentry plan for post-Thanksgiving if that's possible. Thank you for your comments. Will we be making up the games that are missed? Yeah. So, great question. This is from parents of an athlete. Mr. Bruner has already been in touch with some of the games that we were supposed to have this weekend because we weren't sure about what to expect over these next 2 weeks, and we had heard back from one of the ADs within about an hour, and they would like to reschedule. So we'll get in as much as we possibly can. And I was just so grateful that they were wanting to do that as well. So we will do our very best. So this question is about the spread of the virus on bus routes. So we do close contact tracing on bus routes as well. So if we have a student who is positive, we contact trace for all of the areas that they are in their classes during the school day, their transitions during the school day, and the buses. So if there was a student that was on a bus, then the close contacts would have been identified on the school bus as well. And those students would be on quarantine. So the question is about, the internet coming into the school. Would we drop off our student? What would that look like? So we haven't, we're just super excited that we have the go to start to plan that. We don't have that planned out yet. I would imagine it would be a drop off so that we could limit the number of people in the building, because we're really trying to have no one except students and staff in our buildings when we're on green. So I would imagine that we would only allow students in the building, and it would be a drop-off scenario, and then there would be a pickup time that we would transition one student out and get another student in so that we could do a cleaning in between. So we need to be really thoughtful about what that will look like. Okay, some updates coming from the high school. So, we the people, this is an indication that is in the email from our health department. We do have approval for the We the People students to be able to get together tomorrow. That is breaking news. Mr. Gurman and Mr. Potts don't even know that. Hopefully they do now. I'm going to make sure that they know after this call. And they are we're going to coordinate on how we can get those We the People students to a common area so that they can compete. So that is really, really great news. We are resilient. That's the word. Thank you, Mel. Yeah, we are resilient. Oh, thank you, Jennifer. Jennifer is one of our amazing bus drivers, and she said she doesn't know the specific situation that was indicated, but there might not be a student on the bus. That's a really great point, and bus drivers are not required to wear a mask if no students are on the bus. So thank you, Jennifer. You're right. Question: what about parents who work in the schools and they need to still report to work, but have kids in those buildings shut down? So students that attend the junior high and high school, parents are working in schools. I see. So you might be a parent that's working at Spernica, and you might have students that attend at the junior high and high school. And yeah, we can work on that for employees. We haven't talked that through yet today, so I'm going to add that to my list for how we can provide care for junior high and high school students while they are on red. More to come tomorrow on that one, okay? I appreciate your comments. Some comments that say that uh, took 8 days for positive results. Oh, I think this comment is referring to the fact that it can take some time for us to know if a case is positive or not. That is true, and that has been one of the frustrating pieces. I'll just be super transparent. Some test results we're getting back within 24 hours. Some are taking a really long time. 5 days. So I just don't think that all of that has been worked out yet, and that can be quite frustrating. The best possible situation is when we can get those results quickly and know what we're dealing with. So I agree. I think that's a frustrating piece. I think all the kids should be on e-learning until the end of school. Okay, sorry. It just jumped on me, so now I have to go back. Hold on. Sorry. I'm sorry, sorry, sorry. Okay, here we go. All kids should be on e-learning. There is no easy or perfect answer. You are so right. Thank you for your support. I must have missed a part of a conversation that's now talking about vapes, so I'm going to step out of that conversation. I'm not quite. I can't track that one. Sorry about that. I see your comments about wanting to stay out until January. Yes. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, I know that Parent Square can be frustrating. I've gotten some feedback sometimes from parents that say that we send too much out on Parent Square, and right now it is the best way for us to connect with you. So I know it's an extra step in a parent's already ridiculously busy life, and especially with all of this going on. But Parent Square is like our lifeline. By the way, Parent Square has an app. If you didn't know this, just download the Parent Square app. And that way, you don't even need to check your email. It will notify like you get a notification on like Facebook. And for me, it's great because then I know if I get a message through Parent Square because I get a notification on the app, I don't just have to log into my email to get it. I highly recommend just download the Parent Square app and then you'll put in Brown County Schools. It's very, very easy to navigate. And I will continue to blow up your phone with notifications. Yeah, Jennifer said all of our drivers do have seating charts and they do take attendance daily. And they always are so helpful for us when we contact trace. They have been wonderful through this process. Oh, this says don't decrease parent square communication. So good. I'm glad that that it's working out for you, Jill. Thank you. Okay. I am done with the Facebook comments, but I'm going to go back to YouTube over here because I clicked off for a second. Oh, wow. Okay. We've got a lot over here. So just bear with me. Make sure you can see me. Sending kids to school should be parents' choice. Can kids do schoolwork on paper? Our 7th through 12th graders are all online. Can a C4 student drive to Columbus instead of bus transport? Very good question. We know that we can take you by bus. I will work with Mr. Stark and Mr. Hutchins on C4 student transport if you wanted to drive yourself. We'll make sure that that's in the update that's coming from the high school. I joined late the year. I don't know how to use Canvas or anything. Like, is there any way I can get my work on paper? So your teachers will be able to help you, Ryan, on how to navigate Canvas. Also on our website, if you go to the Brown County Schools website, there's if you click on the parent link, there is a nice tutorial on how to use Canvas. And it's pretty intuitive. Once you start clicking around, you'll see where your assignments are posted. But we've got some great resources. If you're at I'm going to write your name down. We'll have either the junior high or high school staff reach out to you on how to navigate Canvas. I see. My child would be driving farther to Brown County than to Columbus, so I would prefer that they drove themselves. Okay, this is for a C4 situation. Okay, thanks, guys. So, yep, I'll answer anything related to the COVID response here. But I think we are done then with the YouTube questions. Ooh, it looks like I got a couple more here on the Facebook, so hold on. Is there counseling available at this time? It's so hard on these kids. Oh my goodness, you're so right. Sometimes they need to reach out to someone. Yeah. So for sure, our counselors are amazing, and they are doing their level best to keep engaging with students remotely. Who are on remote, before we had to transition to red, those students that just weren't attending in person, and they will adjust and they will be able to connect with students online as well. We also have our Centerstone school-based services that are able to transition to remote as well. So all of those services can continue to happen, and I'm amazed by how incredible our counselors can be to make very, very important counseling happen, even in this very unique format. Okay. All right, friends. I think we got through everything tonight. I appreciate you hanging in. My goodness, for almost an hour here. I will answer I've got some takeaways here that we'll make sure that we follow up on so that no one is confused. And I just am super grateful for you. Thanks for hanging in there with us. Tonight is Thursday. I will go live again on Monday, give you whatever updates I have then. And then if we have anything that changes over the course of next week, we'll connect again. But for now, I'll see you Monday, and I hope that you have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, take good care, and I hope to see you all soon. Bye. Have a wonderful evening. Bye, you two.